Hi, this is iYikKam time again. So today I heard from many friends that there are discussions in the forum on the force flow, the transmissions, and of course knee, so forth. And since I'm not in the forum, and I like everybody to know what's really going on, direct from me. Instead of guessing, I decided to share here. Okay. The first thing is, usually people always like to get into authentic Wing Chun, internal Wing Chuns, oldest Wing Chuns. But if you watch my YouTube and what I write here, in my book and so forth, what I present is 1840s or 1850s Wing Chun, post 1950 Wing Chuns. I never talk about authentic. The second thing is, I even lately get rid of the so-called internal. But I use the term 613.3 because 613.3, as you watch my video, recent video on momentum and so forth, and internal and so forth, it clearly describes what it is. For internal, who knows what the heck it is? That's why I never want to use it. Okay? And instead of saying authentic, I use a term called common denominator. Common denominator of Wing Chun. So for me, I don't talk about authentic. I don't talk about internal because those are fuzzy terms, who know what. But I talk specifically on 1840s Wing Chuns, 1950s Wing Chun, common denominator of Wing Chun, 613.3. That is what I'm talking about. Okay? So please do not mistaken me or speculate or about something which is you think instead of what I'm saying. Okay? And I'm not going to get into this lineage or styles or who is the most authentic, who is the oldest, who know it all stuff. I don't. What I am presenting for years up to today is, by evidence, what is 1840s Wing Chun, what is 1950s Wing Chun, what is common denominator of Wing Chun, what is 613.3, all this specific stuff, okay? Because I believe in specific stuff like in engineering, not on some kinds of label or name brand where we really don't know what it is. Okay. So that's number one. I like to share with everybody. The second, every time when all those things, force flow, technical issue come out, people will get into lineage, get into what do you call it? Lineage politics. Okay. And I want to put this clear once for all here. I study with my Sifu, Cho Hong Choi, from the iYikKam lineage, from the Cho family, since 1973 to 1978 in Penang, Malaysia, while I'm having high school over there, okay? Middle school, high school over in Penang, Malaysia. And then I continues on when I went back to Indonesia, and then I come to America in 1980s until he passed away in 1984, okay? So from 1973 to 1978, I'm really close to him, okay? And even when I was in Indonesia, I was riding, and because Indonesia, the place I live, is very close to Penang, I fly back and forth a few times a year. And then in America, I wrote a lot of letters. We communicate with letter, and I went back a few times to visit him when I went back to Indonesia to visit my family. Okay? So that is the facts. Another thing I like people to know, in the same time I study with Sifu Chong Choi, is that I study with another person in Penang, Malaysia, which is at the time the coach, the instructor of Kyokushin Penang, Joe Chen Da Chen, who is very famous there. He is a fighter, as everybody know, and also Sifu Chong Choi is pretty well known in Gong Sao, in Penang, Malaysia, and for the old generation know him. Okay, so both are a very pragmatic guy. Okay, so this is important. I'm not only studying one single art at a time. I study both, and different Sifu teach me different stuff and see from different angles, different thing. Okay, and of course at that time there's a lot of Thai boxer friends, and also in Indonesia, the place I live in, that is the Shaolin from Grandmaster Seko Cham, and I study direct with my Sifu, the Buddhist, venerable Buddhist monk, Fa Chan Sifu, okay, who is the disciple of Grandmaster Seko Chan. Okay. So at the place I stay there, I know I was born. There are Shaolin and there are Fujian White Crane, because Fujianists live there, and they compete. So I have uncles, okay, which is my father's generations, who are in the both party, in the Shaolin and in the White Crane. So there's exposed to a lot of stories and a lot of things on White Crane and Shaolin and so forth. Okay, and also for the 1 year before I come to America, we're waiting for my the school and so forth. I actually was allowed by my Sifu, Fa Chan Sifu, to have access in the library, his library, Buddhist library in the temple. Okay. So at that time, I study a lot of Buddhist scriptures, and including a lot of different type of Chinese literature or art stuff. Okay, so I know the six healing sounds and a lot of things from there, and I even copy the Buddhist sutra, such as the lotus, because it is a traditional when you want to study the sutra that you copy it. Okay, and so I use say 100 days or something, every day 2-3 hours, just sit down and copy the thing. That is the Chinese Buddhism tradition. There's a way how you study the sutra, you remember, you memorize it, and that give me a foundations on how I later be able to read a lot of ancient classic Chinese. That's where it come from. Okay. And it get to the point that I am in the temple so much that my teacher asked my grandmother, okay, saying that, do Hendrik want to be a monk? If he want to be a monk, then I let him stay in this temple and so forth. And of course, my grandmother freaked out and asked my mom to ask me. And I told them, I said, well, I want to be a design engineer in Silicon Valley. I don't want to be a monk. So that is how these facts are. Okay. Now, back to the transmissions from Sifu Cho Hong Choi or Grandmaster Cho Hong Choi. You know, I'm responsible to my Sifu Cho Hong Choi, my Sigong Cho On, my Sizhou Cho Dak Sing, my elder Sizhou Cho Sun, and iYikKam himself. I do not responsible for anybody else. So if anybody want to denounce me, it is them have the power to denounce me, not other people's. Okay? That's a reality. And as for what is my transmissions, all the documents here, handwriting by Grandmaster Cho Hong Choi, in writing. Okay? That is what is the reality. And I do depart from Cho family last year because my last name is not Cho. I'm not in this business. And because of my Sifu, I don't want to quarrel. Anybody want whatever their ancestor do, you know, they can have it. I remember what my Sifu helped me and support me and train me, and I remember all the ancestors, but I'm not going to have a political or power struggle because that is not what I like. I don't need that, okay? So that's what is the facts. First, I let it go. I put it in public. I no longer belong to any lineages because my goal is to study the art, not the title. Okay, I like to be a scholar to understand what's going on here. Okay. Now, there are many people talk about Cho Hong Choi. Well, seriously. How many spa with Sifu Cho Hong Choi? You can go ask around. Okay? And we all know, those who spa with Cho Hong Choi, that Sifu Cho Hong Choi, that he actually fought really close range and using inch power. Okay? People know. Back in Penang, Malaysia, you can ask them, okay, is he doing Choi fight, or when he fight, he go close range, really close range. You know, my Si Heng, like Kok Wei Peng still around. Ask him, okay, who we play with the Sifu Cho Hong Choi all the time. Sifu taught us, and this is in the late. In the mid 1970 to 1980s, before Sifu Cho Hong Choi is sick. Okay. So a lot of people like to speculate, and if you ask them, where are you in 1980 when I was endorsed to teach in 1980? Actually, Sifu encouraged me to teach. Okay, so that's the reality. As for this forceful qi and so forth stuff, I can really tell you this. I got the transmissions of the iYikKam Quinquit and the sets, and in writing, you can see Grandmaster Cho Hong Choi know about the short inch punch, inch power, not punch, inch power. He doesn't use the thing like Bruce Lee, okay? Know about the qi, the breathing, the sinking. And he encouraged me to do research, because when he taught me things, and there are things he said this is belong to the ancient time. Now we're really not sure what it is. He asked me to check, because in his view, I need to go further to check further, because a lot of education stuff is missing, lost between the Opium War and at his time. Okay, education is not that popular, even though he's educated and he do a lot of research. Okay, so when I found the Hermes Zhuang book, did he know? Yes, I told him, and it is him who tell me, yes, this creed is the same. Now you need to look for how they really perform it, and let's compare the actions and so forth. Okay, so I did, and he passed away. Okay, so what is reality? I can tell you today, the reality is this. Sifu Cho Hung Choi have taught me a lot of basic stuff. However, the chi flow in the channel, the using of the force flow in a more advanced way in the channel, okay, and the mind, the Shen, I, due to have visited a lot of experts which is in their field, I found out what's going on. Okay, and as we know, all Sifu is no God. Everybody have their strength. Okay, and Chung Choi Sifu is good in Gong Sao and so forth. However, this part, the mind, like for example, I went to see Zen Patriarch or Venerable Sifa Chan, who is a Buddhist Shaolin descendant, to find out what happened with the mind and heart handling. Okay, and then the Jing, the force flow, where I check, verify, would say under the Xingyi Mali Tang Grandmaster lineages with my other teacher who is in Taiwan, the founder of the Lim architecture, and with the Qi and so forth, and breathing with Mali Tang Grandmaster lineage, and with the since Mali Tang Grandmaster is from Xingyi, okay, and other lineages too. He studied a lot of different internal arts and so forth, You can read about him. And then you read about Zhou Qianchuan and whole bunch of stuff. So I figured it out. And not just want to figure out. It's just not research. You got to experience it. I will not say I attain. Attain is a very high level word. I say I experience it. So I did follow my Sifu instruction. From his transmission, I go one step further. And people asking me a lot about why do you get other people who study with you to do it? Why don't you do it yourself? Well, the reason is simple. Me is not the issue. The issue is that do I get the science, the art, the science, and the process proper? If that's proper, anybody can use it and get what it is. So it is independent of me. But the art, the science, and the process. Whoever get the process, can get that. And it has to be repeatable with good quality control. And it is effective and efficient in learning. Like in 1 week, one can get it, instead of guessing for one lifetime. Okay? So this is what happened. Okay? And it is open for everybody to check. Okay? Now, The third thing I like to talk about is this force flow stuff. I don't even need to use the iYikKam quit. I just have to quote the common quit of Wing Chun, 3 common quit of Wing Chun, and I can tell you what it is. Okay. The usual 3 quit is, number 1, he said, 止五要中 in Cantonese. Okay. The second is Kam Yong Lok King. The third is Lek Chong Bei Hei. So 止五要中, saying that your center has to be balanced. So what is center? Center is actually center axis, not center line. Today we can express that in physics. It's the vertical line of your center of gravity. Okay, physics. That's called 止五要中. The second is saying called Kam Yong Lok King. Kam Yong Lok King is you descend the force flow with or within the clamping yang. Okay. The third thing is Lek Chong Bei Hei, force raised up from ground. Okay. Now, let me tell you this. 止五要中, or the center axis have to balance. That is about sitting. If you watch my video about sitting, if you cannot sit, the 止五 cannot 中. And because of one sit, the 3 flow, remember the breathing flow, the force flow, and the chi flow will flow smoothly. As soon as one is not sitting, all bet off. So when we talk about trauma, Hoi Kwa, or okay, or in the internet it says that Kai Kwa, Lo Kwa, okay, hip, open up the hip, sitting in the horse and so forth. That is all about sitting, about 止五要中, about your center axis has to be balanced. Because only that way you can have the 3 flow smoothly. So in dynamic you can handle. So you can watch on my other YouTube talk about the seating. Okay, that's number 1. So there's 3 flow there already. And that 3 flow, of course, has to do with your 7 balls. If the 7 ball is not conditioned properly, all bets off. How can you handle a balanced center axis? You can't. Okay. And I actually brought up and focus on the 7 ball. Is the 7 ball or the 5th ball is actually such a so-called secret teaching. People will not teach you because everybody can talk about the 6 harmony and the 6 balls, but unless one knows the 7 ball, the whole thing doesn't work properly. Why? Because as in physics today, we know as we stand, we need to have tractions to the ground. And tractions to the ground, if we talk about for example, the running shoe, it talk about the frictions to the ground between the shoe and the ground, and the absorption and so forth. Okay, that's physics. So if this the fit balls is not mentioned and pay attention to how to handle it, you can have all the 6 balls and it doesn't work. Why? How can how can a person's function properly where in dynamic, standing or running or moving, without talk about the frictions with between the feet and the ground? That's physics. Okay. So this is where it's from. And the 7 ball, if you do not have that, how can you handle the whole body, the axis and so forth? One thing, notice that I do not talk about the spine, and I purposely did that because spine is really really fragile. One better handle the 7 balls without pay attention to the spine, because if you pay attention to the spine and somehow you try to adjust the spine, and whenever the intention is there, that part can be tense, especially the people who do not know how to use the intention. In the way how to use intention is say 若存若盲, 若存若亡, meaning that as you intend and as you not intend. Okay? So how is that? As you intend and not intend. That need the cultivations in the mind element. Now, if one do not know how to do it, and usually one will stress the part, and stress the part, voila, whatever force go there, and the spine can be having injury. That's why I don't want to mention that. What's good to mention something which is can hurt people. So the 7 balls, that is how it comes. That's simple. Okay, it's physics and plain thing. Now, the second, Kam Yang Locking. Kam Yang Locking, one need to know what is clamping yang. So in 峨眉12桩, you know that clamping yang is actually just to put your body weight on the yang side of your feet. It's not really clamping, because you clamp that, the what do you call that? The ankle or your knee, your force vector in your body is stuck. You hold in there, it becomes a strength. It cannot be handled with sequence, because you hold that thing rigid there. Okay, you're clamping something, you hold that thing rigid. And in order for one to handle the force going through the body, one need to sequence the 7 ball, how it flows. Okay, how the force vector travel. You need to handle that, align that, and handle that. Okay, and that is the playing with the force flow, not about adjusting your body. You cannot adjusting your body in the dynamic. Okay, for example, a pipe with the water inside there, you want to steal the water. You don't want to twist your water pipe, because if you tweak your water pipe jam, the flow of the water, the current of the water within the pipe, the problem. And if the pressure is too much, that place which is you adjust the pipe, that will blown. Okay, so in dynamic, if you say, well, in the dynamic I have to adjust my spine and a different part and so forth to take force. Well, in demo you can do that. In the real life you cannot do that. For example, your car, when you travel really fast, are you going to adjust your transmissions? If you adjust your transmission, the whole thing can blow. Okay, so this Kam Yang Locking has to know how to handle the yang side, that has to handle the force flow, the action-reaction force, and the meridians. Talk about yin and yang meridians. So it is the meridian, the chi meridian or chi channel flow, and the force flow in the body. That is the second thing, Kam Yang Locking. The third thing is Lek Chung Tai Hei, force come up from ground. Okay, this is the fun part. Usually people thinking, oh, Lek Chung Tai Hei, they do the Tai Gong, raise the anus to force it, so their body go upward. Okay, is that true? No. Lek Chung Tai Hei have a common denominator in all other internal art. If you look at the ancient internal arts like in Xingyi, okay, there's a term, it's called Yi Cai. Yi is intention, Cai meaning stepping. Okay? So what is yikai? Everybody say yikai. Are you going to step or not step? Okay, there's a question there. And Electron is that. So in today's physics term, what does that mean? Very simple. It's that using the reaction force. That's what it is. Okay. When you step down, you have handled your your feet balls. You use reaction force injections. Not action force pushing, but reaction force injection. That's what it is. Electron okay? So you want to handle force flow? These three. 指唔要中 coming locking 力衝地起 the common denominator of Wing Chun. Everybody have it. Every lineage, it doesn't matter who they talk about it. This is the common denominator of Wing Chun. It's also common denominator of other internal arts, ancient internal arts. But Wing Chun have its own characteristics. Okay, Wing Chun fighting concept is close body, close range. That's why the story saying that Wing Chun is close body, narrow stance, keen in listening and inch power. That's what it is. Okay? Force flow is just like that. Okay? Did I invent it? No. You see all the story and everybody talk about. So what I'm doing, I just fill the gap and get the process and explain it in today's words and present what it is. That's all. This book, in the strength chapter, force flow and strength and so forth is here. The use of the channel, the chi channel is here. Okay, so like for example the strength chapter, force flow is defined there. Action and reaction force. The force flow. Everything's here. So why do I write this book? I wrote it as like a textbook, so everybody can know what is needed and what is really going on in the past. Well, you probably don't have time like me to go to the Buddhist temple and sit there, read the sutra or go back and copy the sutra for a year. So it's all here. I intended for textbook. That's why there's no my story. All is what you need to know from the chi and so forth, so forth, so forth. So whatever all my seafood taught me and the fact, the research and everything, I collect everything. I put it here. Okay. Speaking about this book, just last year, okay, I was in this taking a survey in the Facebook group because my intention is to, very simple, release this book free. Simple today's communication, a PDF file sent to all forum and overnight everybody got it, like OS3, right? The OS3, overnight everybody can upgrade to OS3, OS9, sorry, okay? Operating system 9. Like the iPhone can be upgraded overnight, disregard where are you in the world. But I got advice by a lot of people message me. He said, number one, the culture today is that if they don't pay, they don't value it. So don't waste your time. The second thing is they say that today's people like to steal things. They don't do it like an academic way, to give credits or to to quotations like when they write technical paper. So everybody advised me, if it is written as a textbook, charge it as a textbook, okay? And that's how this whole thing comes. Okay? So yes, I intend this to be used as a textbook because it has no lineage. This is a common denominator. Okay? But if you want to understand ancient Wing Chuns and the other internal arts, is everything there for the basic. Never people do it in the West. And often I tell people, even if you just read the energy chapter, you will find a chapter that is never been presented in the West about what's going on with all the chi and so forth. Okay? So that's how it is. And all these things have signature. It's not Tai Chi. Why? If many people come see me and talk about Tai Chi, they know it too and everything. The minute I found out they have to shift their weight from one leg to the other leg, or always put the weight in one leg and so forth, I know this is Tai Chi, this is not Wing Chun. Why? Because it's violating the Cham Kyu level of stuff. And anybody want to know about the tour of Cham Kyu and so forth, the forceful, can watch another YouTube of mine on the reality of tour. That's what it is. Okay? So it is simple. In order to screen people, if you know the 613.3 and you know what is the Lek Chung Pei Hei and all this thing, you just listen to what people talk. There are a lot of people, so-called internal people, tell me that they are internal and so forth, so forth. But if you look at them, you listen to what they talk, they never talk about the Lek Chung Pei Hei or using the reaction force. They don't. They don't talk about the sitting. Okay? And even they talk about sitting, they talk about one leg, weight in one leg always. Then you know that's Tai Chi stuff, that's not Wing Chun, that's not the same with what I'm talking about. Okay? Very simple. This is all systematic, comprehensive, and it is scientific stuff. Okay? So that's how the forceful thing comes. What secret? No secret. Okay? And of course you have to fit biomechanics, law of physics, the yellow emperor classics, and you want to talk about mind, you better follow the Anapanasati of the Buddhism teaching of Surangama. Don't tell me about mind or ideas power or anything, because you cannot find that in the Buddhism teaching. How can I know? I stay there in the library. I meet different Zen patriarchs and Buddhists who practice different Buddhisms about mind, state of mind, samadhi. Okay? And don't tell me about internal too. If we cannot implement this, the center axis has to be balanced, which is sitting, and knowing using the clamping yang, going, sinking, the forceful, and what is Lek Chung Pei Hei, using direction force. How can you implement that? Okay, so it's not about me. You look at that, that is a standard reference in the ancient Chinese martial arts. Use that as standard reference, not me. Use the common denominator as reference, not me. Got nothing to do with me. Okay? So right now what I'm trying to say, share with you is that what I'm using up to today is multiple point common denominator data from the Chinese internal art and the Wing Chun lineages. That's the common denominator of the common denominator. It's not up to me or my lineage or authentic or internal. I don't want to define that. I don't define those things. I just present to you what it is there. Okay? And Get the book and read it what it is here. Well, you can say, oh yeah, I'm marketing, I'm selling this and so. Sure. You can think what you think, but I tell you that 40 years of thinking everything's there in a really concise way. Get it if you need it. If you don't need it, forget about it. I'm not going to sell anything. I don't care even who buy, who don't. Okay? But for who think he need it to understand, one has to have this. Because you don't have 30 years like me or 40 years like me and doing all the silly, ridiculous thing, visiting different teacher and experiment different thing. And in fact, I like somebody to get this kind of thing in the university, in the lab, and testing the process. Okay? So there's my part, which is I can open with everybody. And for the people who always questions and get into their lineages and everything, I think their homework they need to do. Number one, whatever their lineage teach, how is that compared with the common denominator of Wing Chun? Like for example, that 3 thing. The center axis has to be balanced, sink the forceful or descend the forceful with the clamping yang, the force raised from the ground. If you have it, you have it. You don't have it, you don't have it. If the seating is not proper, Chamkyu level cannot be reached. That's not me. That is whatever it is in law of physics, law of the biomechanics, the yellow emperor classics. Okay, and don't tell me either about the mind power or whatever. Go check Anapanasati Surangama and see whether it accord to that or not. If not accord to that, then you create your own. There's nothing to do with the ancient stuff. It's not the ancient teaching. So instead of me who create adding thing there, somebody adding something there, which is not even accord to the past. Also, did I add any Tai Chi there? Simple, you check it. If one feet always have to carry the weight in 1 feet only, you look at the Zhen Man Qing stuff, okay? The Tai Chi, Yang Tai Chi stuff, you can see that. It's not Wing Chun. By in Wing Chun common denominator or design with the Chamkyu, we just have to spin. Okay, it has to be taught. Okay? So that's how simple it is. Okay, if you do your homework, I tell you what it is here. You look at that. What's reality? You don't have to trust me. I don't want anybody to believe me or trust me. Verify with the reality, the data, multiple point. Okay, multiple data point. And look at whoever who do the Xiulian Tao. Can that body actually fulfill the center axis balance, clamping yang, sinking the forceful and the force raised from the ground? And if you want definitions, scientific definitions on forceful, it's here. Torque is talking here too. And how a smaller or less weight or weaker guy is at disadvantage fighting a big guy in terms of momentum, kinetic energy is calculated here. So I just present this as a technical stuff, okay? I'm not the best fighter, the best grandmaster, or the most authentic, or whatever. I'm not. I'm just one of the 4 million Wing Chuners. And this is what I found. And what I'm telling you is what I found. Forceful is what I found. And at the end, I like to tell you one thing. Lately, I've been released a lot of momentum stuff. Forceful is not the ultimate. Momentum is the bottom line. How to enter with the momentum and so forth. How to handle the first contact momentum and the dynamic of the momentum. That is the bottom line of Chinese martial arts in fighting. Okay? So this is to share with you today. I know this is a pretty long one, but I think you need to clear up here. Okay.